Look at the other video I did yesterday or the day before. It's the lowest point of A minor pentatonic. That's the lowest point. Here's the next block. And then here's the number one block, I call it, because if you're speaking A minor and you're starting with the A note, that would be your number one position. Then I mentioned how the second note of your minor pentatonic is the major key that it comes from. So you'd start here, that second note is a C in the A minor pentatonic. You can hear it. What? See? But if you just run up it and you don't listen to it, you won't really hear it. The note that you start and end on and hold the longest, that's what you're gonna most feel in you know. Alright, so that's, and then the next position, the third position of any minor pentatonic, if you start at the low E string, I mentioned this in the other video, is going to be what I call the step over block. When you get to the G and B string, you have to step over here and do this, and then do the same thing but a fret higher on the next string. But you can hear that's right. Alright, and then your next one up, the fourth block, which is what we started with down here, with starting with the E note of the A minor pentatonic. So there's a good example of Zeppelin of using this low position with the A minor pentatonic with Heartbreaker. But he's putting in a flat 5, so it's not just a pentatonic, he's adding. We'll get to that on a nut after I do a few of these on just the pentatonic before we start adding more notes. So up here. Same thing. Alright, so what I want to get to for part 2 is the first video I did yesterday or the day before. I just did the pentatonic up the fretboard. Position 1, position 2, and they each have a certain shape to them. Position 3 is the step over, position 4 is the same one I started with down here, and position 5, the last one, I called the sandwich one. Because the bottom 2 strings, I call these the bottom even though it's physically the top, because I go by how low or high the notes are. These are the lower notes, that's the bottom. The higher notes are going that way, that's the top. And up is this way because the notes get higher, and down for me is that way because the notes get lower. I think note-wise, not physical earth-wise, okay? So this is bottom, bottom E, top E. Alright, so that's a sandwich shape because on block number 5, just before you get back to the main one that everybody pretty much knows, is because the bottom 2 strings are just, if you do the proper fingering, when you solo you can use any fingers you want. This is to train your all 4 fingers to be involved in your pentatonic and alternate pick also. That's why I use this certain fingering. Plus the fingering I'm using enables you to not have to move your hand. See, I didn't have to go like this at all. And the only one you have to step over on is the third position. All right. right, so now what you want to do with these to really improve, you build your foundation even stronger, is start doing these in what I call different counts. So I'll just do the number one position and just tell you, you can do it in all positions. You should do this. I do a 6 count, or I used to, I don't do these anymore. 6 count, 2 different 5 counts, the 4 count, 3 count. So here's one of my 6 count, I call it string to string, which means starting on the low E string, starting at the A note, 5th fret. I went up to the D string, I did 6 notes, so it's a 6 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I step back to the A string, you go back 1 string and then continue up and go 6 more notes, keeping the A minor pentatonic. Then you go back down to the... See, I should warm up before I do videos, because if I play for half an hour, I get going, I can really light these up. But I'm ice cold right now, and which is even better, because then I won't, just focus on teaching. Do them in all the positions. And what happens with that is you're developing the coordination to go down, up, not just walk forward or walk backwards. And you'll also hear things in the process. You just need just those kind of things. You can create all kinds of stuff while you're learning them. You'll hear riffs. And then, so that's the 6 count, do it in all the blocks. Then the 5 count would be going up 5 notes. And then again, string to string. And do it in all the blocks. And I do pull-offs also with the 6 counter. I used to. Again, I'm ice cold right now. I just heated up some old coffee and sat down and figured I'll just do the video now or I'll end up dozing off. That's another cool thing to do. Right now I can't do them because I'm ice cold. My hands are freezing. And it's room temperature here, but they're just that way. And then so the 5 count, and you could also do them starting with the lower note, this one here. And you'll hear things. And the other 5 count I do is note to note. So I'm going down 5 notes starting with the high note here. Then I'm going back to the 2nd note that I first played, the A, and eventually what I'm doing is I'm going down 1 note at a time. 5 notes from that, 5 notes from that, 5 from that, and so on. Now you're not likely to create phrases all the way down all 6 strings, but you could create some just with, I do a lot of pull-off and hammer-ons. So I create phrases, not picking every note, a lot of my playing, but I find what I want to hear and I create phrases that way. So that's another 5 count. Then there's a 3 count. So that's going down 3 notes, going back to the 2nd note you played. And again, like the 5 count, you're going 1 note at a time. You're graduating down with that count. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right. So the 3 count, the 5 count, the 6 count, 4 count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what else was I gonna say? Well, I could add in, so that's for the pentatonic. You'd have to look at the one I did. It's dated either yesterday or the day before. So I'll title this one Part 2. So we'll add in that flat 5. So do it, whatever one of those that you want on any given day. If you feel like working the 3 count a little, do it. I actually do, again, pull off stuff when I do them. But I just throw little tidbits of that into my phrasing. You know, it might just be a 6 count thing, or I do a lot of 3 notes when I first start off a phrase. You know, I'll do things like that. I'll go down and up, you know. Whatever, and just play what you want to hear. But by learning the pentatonic on the whole fretboard, and by you sitting there going, you know? And just practice creating simple phrases and practice sliding from one spot to the next with them. So I call it milking your A minor pentatonic. So why don't I just throw this in on the end of this video? You can take that like I just did at the beginning of this. And he steps up to and go. So add in the flat 5 once you get that pentatonic really going good. And again, learn just, so you're going to play your pentatonics like we've been doing, but there's a place where that flat 5 shows up all the time. Right at the D to the E note, you add that in between note. So everywhere there's a D and an E, play the note in between it also, like right here. So add that in. And just everywhere it is, you know, go back in those same pentatonic blocks. Just adding in that E flat note everywhere it is, and at each one of the blocks. What? Everywhere that E and D is. So there you go, you add that flat 5. There's enough there to toy around with for a while. So whenever I play something and I use that, if I use a flat 5 a lot. right, so there you go. Build on that other video I did. It's Dave.